Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for caregivers.
Caregivers around the world today. It's time to lift you up. It's time to celebrate. Good afternoon and welcome to Connecting Caregivers with me, Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers with love, laughter, and lessons learned, because I got a whole bunch of that stuff on the show where you can find help and hope. And with me, as always, is my best friend. Well, not as always, but she's here most of the time.
I've been here a lot.
My best friend, my co-host and sidekick, not psychic, Lynn Thornley.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
I'm good. Happy National French Fry Day.
National French Fry Day. Oh my goodness. I like French fries.
I know you even like those orange ones.
Sweet potato fries.
That's like that's like, to me, that's sort of like, it takes away the joy
Like
of
eating a
French fry.
vegetable.
Yeah.
Not a fry.
Yeah.
A potato's a vegetable, though. You know
I know.
Right?
No.
All right.
Well, maybe a sweet potato isn't because they put it in pie. Sweet potato pie.
And on the boards we have Mr. Ed. How you doing today, Ed?
Doing all right. I'm fine. How are you?
Joyful and grateful. You know me. Glad to be here. Very glad to be here. And we have Michelle Sear with us here today from AARP. Welcome.
Thanks. This is my first time on the show, and I am thrilled.
I'm
Thank
so glad
you
you're
for
here.
the
We're going to
invite.
talk a little bit later on in the show. But as always, anybody can pipe in whenever they want. So the first thing I want to do is give a shout out to our newest listeners. We have David in Largo, Marty in Tampa, and Sam in Largo.
Well, welcome, gentlemen.
I'm thinking, all gentlemen.
Could be.
It's very interesting because mostly our new listeners are ladies. But I would say there's plenty of room around the Connecting Caregivers table.
And more room for men because we don't have very many.
Yes. If you listen live when we're on AM, FM, or on YouTube, or on Facebook, or on my website. But it's pretty interesting. Recently, just looking at some analytics on my YouTube channel, and the past couple of months, most of my new subscribers are men from the age of 40 to 60.
40 to 60?
Yeah.
Wow.
And I thought, what the heck? And then I'm thinking men get their information from the internet. And that's
true.
from YouTube.
True.
Great.
And which is fabulous. And I talked about that in the support group this morning. And the one guy goes, yeah, that's where I get all my information from. He said, but I'm so glad I'm at this support group this morning because that's totally different.
It is totally different. But the nice thing about the internet is you can sort of sneak around and see what might fit for you
But
instead
sometimes
of
it's too
making
much,
phone
too.
calls.
Yeah. Yeah.
But then get into a support group.
Well, the good thing is, too, I do the support groups via Zoom and a journaling workshop. You can come on there and you don't even have to show your picture or put your microphone on. You could just listen. Because I think people are like a little nervous. What's going to happen there and what it's like. And if you come there and you just listen, that you'll see like halfway through the call, all of a sudden, whoa, they come on.
Because they find that the information is relevant to them, and they're happy to chime in at that point.
And it's
But
not
it can be
scary.
intimidating.
It is
right?
scary. It's like the first time on the radio.
Yeah.
Kind of
Well,
scary.
the first time any kind of support.
That's what I should have done the first time. Put a paper bag over my head till halfway through.
But it's so fabulous because this morning I did a support group at Arden Courts and 2 new people came in. And everyone is so welcoming because everybody else that's in the group knows the day that they walked into the first support group and what is it going to be like. And with me, with me is what you see is what you get. So it's pretty easy. It's pretty comfortable. And yeah. So Ed, do we have them on the line? Oh, fabulous. So we have Jean and Chris Ross from Primary Record on the line. Hey, how you doing?
Doing awesome. How are you, Linda? This is Jean.
Joyful and grateful.
Doing great.
I'm so glad. So I met these two people probably about a month ago. There's a good thing about LinkedIn and all that kind of stuff. And they have a company called Primary Record, which I think is absolutely fabulous. So before you tell me how Primary Record Company came to be, tell me a little bit about your background.
I'll let Chris go first.
All right. If Jean insists, I'll go. So I'm an emergency physician by training. I still work clinically in the ER. So that's my main background. I also work trying to help health information flow between hospital systems through some leadership stuff I've done since about 2018.
Okay.
And then I'm Jean, and a nurse by training, and actually left critical care to actually for about 6 years ran a care coordination company where I would just swoop into anybody's house and try to figure out how do we keep somebody there. And that turns out that that's a really hard job.
Yeah.
And so just got a lot of great insights. I would attend appointments with folks. I got to see the whole gamut of what it's like to be a family member, honestly. And as a nurse, that was eye-opening because, when you're clinical,
Right.
you only see one part of the healthcare system. So you don't really understand when that family comes in so frustrated and overwhelmed what's really happening. So just real excited to kind of learn and take what I learned from that and see how can we help make this whole process easier for families.
So what happened one night? You're sitting there having a cocktail and you go, "What the heck? We should do this."
No, I have no idea. Like it's weird. It's been a 4-year journey so far. But really it was, that care coordination practice, Linda, COVID, it made me not be able to really run it anymore. And so I sat there on my hands for a month, but I'm a pretty busybody person. I can't sit still for long. And I knew my neighbor across the street was kind of in the same boat, and I knew that he was in tech. I didn't even know what that really meant. So I went across the street and I was just like, "Hey, Jim, like there was this huge value of what I was doing, but it wasn't scalable to a lot of families.
Right.
How could I take what I was learning and help more families?" And so we've been at it for 4 years, trying to figure out how do you help kind of bring data in a way to families that they can use it to get the best care for their family members.
So how did it start? Explain a little of the basics, how someone can get involved in it, what it does, what it covers.
Right. Most of the time, just having your My Chart or whatnot does pretty good for families. Really what happens when we see people really need a primary record, and obviously we think anybody needs one, but it comes down to when suddenly you find yourself needing, you're visiting lots of different doctors,
Right.
you have multiple family members helping, and you just kind of need the source of truth. Like what's happening, what's going on, who's who. And so often, I think most families, what we're doing is we're making binders, we're creating folders on our computer desktop, but that's not really helping them really streamline things to use that information in a way to really help explain their story to families. So
Well, so I got
yeah.
that. I have that big binder in my closet in my bedroom. But now I'm on vacation and something happens.
Correct. Right. So the fact that this is a tool in your hand, so it goes on your mobile phone, and you can carry it with you wherever you go. And it has lots of things built in where you can just take pictures of things that people are handing you. You can record things that are happening or at a doctor's visit, and it's going to store it smartly in one spot.
Okay. And then I can let more than one person have access to this.
Correct. You could, if you have you and your spouse or,
My sister.
or your sister, right. So you could have the people that, you're taking care of, or you can also just invite in people you want to have access to that information in case of an emergency. So we call them collaborators.
Well,
Care collaborators.
yeah.
I like that.
But I think there's a good part about it too, because let's say there's like 4 sisters. So you're gonna go to the doctors and you're gonna put this information and you're gonna keep adding things to your primary record, because there's always that one sister that's like, "You didn't tell me that mom went to the doctor," or "You didn't tell me that her medication changed."
Yeah. Or why didn't you ask this? No, this is exactly to solve that problem, right? It's that having that one person that's always in front of the person. And then what I saw all the time when I was running that care coordination company is this poor sister was the one that would spend hours after the appointment explaining to all the other sisters what was happening. And so now it's just kind of all there in one spot to point your family members to have other sisters tell you what questions they want asked or that's on their brain. So you can just pull it up in the visit and go.
Well, and I have to tell you, sometimes, I've had a long day with mom. I don't want to talk to my sisters.
Yeah, the telephone tree doesn't sound as appealing.
Yeah, I would just go there and look and you can see what's going on. I'm not saying to cut them off. You know what I mean?
No, but it's more tiring to go to the hospital all day and then more tiring to talk. Now you got to talk about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So-
No, because you've already lived through the emotional journey and then you got to rehash it all
Exactly.
out. Yep, 100%.
So One of your questions you said for me to ask is, my doctor health system does this for me. Why do I need primary record?
I'm gonna let Chris answer that one.
Yeah, I was about to say, you want me to take that one? So I get that a lot when people come through the emergency department and visit me, like, don't you have my records, or it's in the system or what have you. And that's people even traveling out of state or, even out of city or even within the same city for the ERs that I work in. And that information doesn't travel between systems. And even within the same system, the information doesn't travel very well. So oftentimes I just rely on whatever you tell me. And then whatever I look up in my EMR system, I don't trust near as much as what you tell me. So normally you as a patient or the family member or the caregiver are the source of truth that travels between all these different sites. So yeah, you have a my chart, and that's important to communicate with your physician through that and have some other information. But having this single source of truth where if you're in Florida and then you travel to Greece and then you go to, Georgia and then you come to Indiana and hang out with us, like all of those situations, you need something to travel with you. And that information, I can tell you, as an ER doctor, does not travel with you to those different places. And then whenever you land in my ER to see me about some sort of emergency, and you're hoping that I can act on relevant information, I need something like a primary record where it has the full story and I can see what's going on to be able to give you the care you need.
And you know what? If you don't have all my records, you start asking me questions. I'm in the ER. I can't think straight. It's
do that all the time.
I tell caregivers all the time. I practice what I preach, but I can remember one time the ambulance came to get my husband, and they asked me what he was allergic to, and I told him what my mother was allergic to.
Oh.
And I realized it like 5 minutes later. But really, you're in a panic.
You are. No, listen, I tell the story all the time. My son fell out of a tree. I couldn't remember how to dial 911. Like, you have no idea.
What's a rotary?
Yeah.
Right. Like, well, it's just when you're in such a panic, you just freeze.
Yeah.
And so having something that you can lean on to tell it. And that's kind of what's cool. So everybody's doing AI. Well, we're kind of one of the first companies to put it facing the patient and the family. And so now you have this chat that you literally could just ask a question and it's going to summarize and be able to let you just read off the screen what you should be telling.
That's huge. And so, like, how do I upload my information? Is it a project? I'm an old lady. Make it easy for me.
I know. This is something we work every day towards because it's, health data in itself is not easy. So the first step we do is we are using a new law. Actually, you have a right to the data that all of those electronic health record systems, all your patient portals are storing on you.
Right.
So the first step is you go connect to a patient portal you have. And what we're going to do is we're going to download that data and organize it into buckets for you, your meds, your conditions, your allergies. And then you scan it and tell us, oh, that's inaccurate. Let me edit that. And then you create your record off of that. And then as things happen, you can upload your own notes. You can snap a picture. We actually have an audio recording. So if you're at the doctor visit, you can just hit ask the doc, hey, can I record you on this? And then it'll transcribe it. And what's cool is everything that's uploaded, we can take the words off that paper, even if it's handwritten, and make it searchable in your primary record.
Wow. And anybody that's listening, if your doctor doesn't want you to record them, you need a new doctor.
True story.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I mean, that's a total side conversation, but a lot of that information, that's where a lot of that good information is in those discussions. I mean, the way you get on a piece of paper whenever I discharge somebody is nothing in comparison to that last discussion and those questions you asked. So I really do appreciate that.
Yeah. So is primary record free?
Yes. So there is always there's a belief at our company, access to your data should always be free. So you will always, the things that you're storing and putting in are always viewable and you can edit and do everything else. We are working on these premium services that are kind of the membership and subscription based. And that ranges from $10 to $16 a month. But there is a level of primary record of getting started that is absolutely free and usable.
Yeah, but that being said, we're actually doing, everything is free, even the premium stuff for July and August. I just wanted to point out. If you sign up between July and August through the end of the year, we have it free for anybody, even those extra things that Dean talked about.
And that's fabulous. Just, let people check it out and then they have their opinion.
Exactly.
And then once they love it, they'll give you $10 or whatever it is. Now, I can put like my dental information on there and everything, my eyeglasses or what?
Yes.
True story. I got a story.
All right.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay. Sorry, I forgot all of my information and took my son to the state health department, including all my insurance information, everything like that, to get his vaccinations. And I have my insurance card in my primary record, so I actually used my primary record to show them my insurance card because I forgot all of my information. But you can put your dental stuff in there. We have our dogs' vaccination. Our dogs are in there, and their dog vaccination records in there. And you can ask the chat when they're due for their next vaccination. You can put whatever sort of medical information in you want, and all that's searchable.
And I think it's such a great idea because if we do this ahead of time when we're of sound mind and everything, we start this process, because I deal with a lot of Alzheimer's and dementia, and we start this process. Now our family knows where to go. And they can see that. And even if I start slipping up, if they're watching my stuff and they see I didn't go to the doctor, or I haven't had an eye exam in a year or whatever, I think it could be a good tool for the family members and the caregiver to have also.
Oh my gosh, Linda, the stories we keep hearing from our families on how they're using this and innovating with it. I have one family, the dad just did a recording of all of his wishes that he wants for end of life. And so now when the family does like a chat of like, what would dad want? It summarizes for him.
And that's fabulous because sometimes what the kids want is not what dad wants.
Exactly. So there's just all kinds of ways families are using this today. And it's just, as a nurse, it's just been my heart has been exploding because it's exactly what we built it for.
Yeah. And we need this. We need this tool. We want healthcare to be better. We want to be able to take care of ourselves better and for our family to take care of us better. And if we can have this information in one spot, that's huge. Because you know what?
So
my daughter doesn't know who my vet is. My daughter doesn't know who my dentist is. Really. So,
right.
No, and if something happened to my dad, I'd have to go over to his house and grab all of his medication bottles. But with this, it's literally in my hands and I can answer questions immediately.
Yeah.
It's just, getting prepared is awesome.
Well, I think it could be kind of interesting too. So you upload all your meds and then your daughter's looking at it and she says to your sister, do you see how much stuff mom's taken?
Yep.
Maybe go ahead.
And then you can ask chat, should I be worried about all the meds my mom's worried, on? Or does this drug react to this drug?
Yeah.
Families are Googling so much, but what they don't get from Google is that personalized, tailored Google search, right? Yeah. So that's kind of what's really cool about this is it's going to look at your question and then take the information out of your primary record and really give you an answer that's personalized.
So are you guys in the App Store?
We are not. So we are learning with our families and iterating and have it in a spot. So we will be in the App Store by the winter.
Good for you.
Right now, yes. So we're trying to do things right. We're trying to keep costs down for our family. So I have amazing engineers. And so we can be found at primaryrecord.app. And if you're super savvy, you can save it to your iPhone or your mobile phone. By saving it to your home screen, and then it'll act like an app. But we will be in the App Store soon, but still accessible on any desktop or browser on a phone. I
know, that's a big deal. That's a big deal. So where can our listeners find you now?
Primaryrecord.com. It's just a place to start if you want to start learning about us. We have newsletters if you're not quite ready and just want to keep learning things that we're doing. But and we're on LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, always at Primary Record.
I'll put all that information in the show too. What's the last thing both of you want to say to our caregivers today?
I want to say that I'll go first. Yeah. I want to say that the patients and caregivers, you have the most at stake in your care, more so than anyone else. And what most people want to believe is that your doctors and the people you're going to seek for care are going to advocate for you and try to do all these things for you. But when you get into a crisis and you realize that it's up to you, it's good to be prepared, good to be equipped, because you'll realize at some point in time that you really are the ones that need to have this data and are to be able to the ones that go around the system.
And it gives you peace of mind.
Yeah.
100%.
And then probably my thing to add on to that is, the healthcare system was not designed to include our family members. And so you do have to put the work in. To be an advocate, it sometimes feels like you're being a pain in the butt. But when you have the data, when you have the story, it's to that table way easier because you have the information people need to take care of your person.
Yeah, you have some power.
Exactly.
And it makes it easier for me whenever you show up with data, because then I know the ball game and I can take care of you easier. I mean, it just makes everything so much smoother.
Right. You can do your job so much better by having this information.
100%. And we've worked hard on the onboarding. You know, we've kind of talked a little bit about how there's a lot of information gathered and stuff like that. I mean, you can get this started easily in 5 minutes. You can connect your patient portals in 5 minutes. You just sit down with your patient logons, type in your name, your information, whatever you want on there, and then go to connect and then pull in information from your portals. I've onboarded a billion times. I've onboarded a lot of people, and it's surprising how simple this is and how little it takes. It's just really sitting down, going to primaryrecord.com, opening up the app, which is pretty slick, and then just going through it. But it's really a lot simpler than it sounds.
Thank you so much for being with me today, my new friends. We will talk soon.
Linda, thank you. Yes, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
It's so wonderful to be here.
Have a delicious day. Bye.
All right, take care. Bye.
And now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners, because you know the deal. If you don't hear from them, you don't hear from me. So don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
Sean W. Scott has been practicing elder law and qualifying clients for Medicaid for over 30 years. While his practice is in all areas of estate planning, such as durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogates, and wills, he also prides himself on having a 100% accuracy rate on getting clients approved for Medicaid. Why Medicaid, you may ask? Do you want to pay up to $16,000 a month for a nursing home should the time come? Obviously, no one wants to have to endure this cost. So even though you may have planned well for retirement, the reality is things happen. Planning ahead is never too soon. You need to make sure your income and assets are protected so that you can take care of you and your loved ones. Florida law is very specific on how and what is protected and how to protect it. Give Sean a call. He can help. 727-539-0181. That's 727-539-0181.
My mom was getting older, but she was able to live pretty independently until recently. When her case manager told me she would be discharged from rehab in just a few days, I didn't know what to do. But I knew for sure that she couldn't go back living alone at home. So that's when I contacted Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. My Senior Living Concierge, Lisa, was there for me through the whole process and was a free service for us to compare in-home care options and how that cost would compare to assisted living. With Lisa's help, we found a great new home for Mom, and she is thriving. Take it from me. Don't go through this journey alone.
Hi, I'm Ellie Baldwin, co-founder and president of Sunway's Senior Living Concierge. We're a free placement and concierge service for families to help compare senior living communities and find the best place for you or a loved one. Call us today at 727-314-6451 or find us online at sunwaysseniorliving.com.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
And we're back. Sunway's Senior Living is so fabulous. Arden Courts is so fabulous. Sean Scott is so fabulous. All the sponsors that I have here that make this show possible are here to help you. And I love it when caregivers contact me and say, oh yeah, I finally did this and I finally did that. And they find things are so much easier with people they can trust. So Michelle, I'm so glad you're here today. And I'm very excited to say that AARP is going to be the diamond sponsor of my next conference, November 12th, 13th, and 14th.
Yay.
But it's funny. So this morning I did a support group. And I said to the people in the support group, so what do you think of when you hear AARP? And they said, discounts on vacation, going out to dinner.
Yep.
And maybe they helped me with my medical insurance.
Yep.
And that was it.
Yep. Yeah, same. When I go and do presentations to the public, I usually ask that standard question. What do you know about AARP? Oh, it's for old people, or, oh, I love the discounts, or I have the insurance. So few people know that we are a membership organization that goes well beyond that. We are we're working with volunteers across the state to do advocacy, to do education. We're amplifying the voice of the 50 plus at the national, state, and local level through our advocacy efforts. We're educating people on Medicare and Social Security, all of this great stuff. And people don't recognize that there could be an AARP office right in your own backyard, including the one that I work out of here in St. Petersburg.
Yeah, and you know what it is? They just get the card and they put it in their wallet.
Until they go to Outback, and then they're like, I need that discount.
I didn't know they give you discounts at Outback.
There's a list.
There is, and there's an app for that.
I know.
You know, but I think that's what happens. They just put that card in their wallet. They never go to the website. They never go to the app to see what else might be available. I mean, this organization, how many members do you guys have? Millions, right?
3.8 million. And a whole lot of them live right here in Florida.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, it's like I say, there's a caregiver like every square inch in Florida.
Yes.
I totally believe that. So what are some of the things they do for caregivers?
So AARP wants to equip caregivers because we recognize caregiving is not for sissies. There's a lot of work that goes into it. It is mentally straining, physically straining, financially straining, emotionally straining. And so whatever we can do to support them, whether that's equipping them with, valuable, credible information, print resources, connecting them with local resources so that they can talk to someone in person in their community. We also have volunteers who run a toll-free number. So if you are a caregiver and you want to know about local resources, or frankly, you just want someone to talk to, we have a toll-free number that people can call.
And that number is?
That number is, I am looking for it now because I know I put it in here and I promise I will have it. Here it is. It is 1-877-333 5885.
And I'll put that information in the show if you didn't write it down right now.
Yeah, and we also have Spanish-speaking volunteers who will answer that hotline as well. And that hotline is available Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 8 p.m.
So I think we need to let our listeners know all the more things that are available with AARP than we thought was available. I love that, Ethel. Let's talk about the Ethel a little bit, because I started getting those emails and I find them very interesting.
So you had mentioned it earlier on the show. So many people are now turning to the internet to find information. It's great to get, referrals from your friends, but sometimes when you're looking for a caregiver, not everybody's on the same journey as you are, but the internet gives you that opportunity to kind of cast that net a little wider. And the Ethel is, and it's on Facebook. It's a Facebook group page where it goes beyond caregiving. And so it's really just
I get emails with stories and and where did the Ethel come from?
So Ethel Percy Andrus is AARP's founder. She was a high school principal in Southern Los Angeles, and she is the one who founded originally the National Retired Teachers Association, which later became the American Association of Retired Persons. But ultimately, once she retired, she herself became a caregiver for her mother, went to Chicago after retiring as the high school principal, cared for her mother once her mother was able to live independently again. She returned home, thought she would look up some of her retired educator friends, and started knocking on doors and found one of her friends quite literally living in a chicken coop.
Oh my
because
God.
These teachers were living off of these meager pensions. Medicare and Social Security was not enough for them to rely on. It was still a very new system. And so they recognized that if they could pool their resources together and create this grassroots movement, they could go to these different insurance companies and ask if they could get kind of like a teacher's discount or some sort of discount on health insurance. And they were able to find just that. And so they said, if we can do this around healthcare, we can do this around financial security. And then advocacy kept going on. And now we're fighting for consumer rights and we're fighting for livable communities.
Yeah.
So the fight goes on. And so we've got volunteer advocates all across the country.
And you have a very powerful organization. that has a lot of clout, which is really important. So the more we can do, the more we can make a difference. Because you know what? We're all aging. It's not going to change. We're all living so much longer than we expected.
Yes.
And if we can find resources and we can get, like the Ethel sends me like an email and it's like, what to do when your husband's snoring, or something like that. Or do you think this bathing suit really looks good on me? So it's like funny and it's informational though, that it makes you want to read more because, you get so many things that is just too stuffy.
And the great thing about the Ethel is they've created these Ethel circles. So now there's local Ethel gathering pages. So there are other AARP members living in your community and they're organizing brunches and lunches and fun little get-togethers. And so I know there's one here in the Tampa Bay area. I think it's the Ethel Circle Suncoast. But definitely check that out. Also on the Facebook page, there is a special page dedicated to caregivers, and it is moderated by Amy Goyer, who is a caregiving issue expert. She herself is a longtime caregiver, tons of information and resources. And so she has a page that's the AARP Family Caregiving page.
Great.
So another great place to hear from other caregivers across the country who have kind of shared best practices, lessons learned, the good, the bad, the ugly, because frankly, hearing from them is helpful.
It's the good, the bad, the ugly. It's not just the ugly, because there are Facebook pages for caregivers that I don't want to go near them. It's just whining, crying, complaining.
Scary place, yeah.
So to know that there's a place that's refreshing, and the thing is too, a lot of my caregivers, their loved one passes away. And now I'm solo.
Solo agers,
aging.
yes.
I'm solo aging, and where do I go, and what do I do? With my support groups, maybe somebody's in the support group 5, 6 years, whatever, 3 months, whatever, and their loved one passes away, and they come back to the group because they want to help. But it's a support group. It's not a grief support group. So I've started a mentoring program. So if your husband died of Parkinson's, and a new person comes in the group, and their husband has Parkinson's, you're her mentor. So you can talk outside of the support group, because I'm not a Parkinson's expert. Mm-hmm. This person is going to tell you stuff that I have no clues about. No clue. And it gives the caregiver whose loved one has passed a new sense of purpose. Because I was a caregiver 24/7. What do I do with all the stuff I learned?
Exactly. Sharing it is key.
Yeah.
And hearing directly from an organization is one thing, but hearing it from someone who's been on that journey, who has experienced something similar to what I've experienced, that means so much more. And it just makes it so much more authentic.
Yeah.
And so AARP also offers what we call careversations. These are in-person, lightly facilitated workshops. And so we ask caregivers some questions, but really it's kind of a time for respite. We wine them, we dine them, then we give them opportunities to connect with other caregivers.
Yeah.
And so again, very valuable.
Yeah. When you find somebody that you can relate to that's on the same page as you, it just, and recently I asked the people in my journaling workshop, I said, what's the best part about this group, or what has this group done for you? And each one said, I made new friends. I made new friends that understood me. And that's the most important thing. All right, so what are we doing here with legislature and stuff?
So as I mentioned before, AARP is working at the national, state, and local level on a number of issues. One of our biggest priorities is supporting caregivers. We recognize there are 40 million plus caregivers, and so many caregivers don't even recognize that they're a careggiver.
I'm not a caregiver. I'm the faithful
that's
spouse,
my husband.
the good
That's
daughter.
my mom. I'm not a caregiver. I'm just doing what I should be doing.
Right.
But so there's probably a ton that we don't even know about.
Right.
And so there are 4 bills currently that AARP nationally has endorsed. One of them is credit for caring, because we know that caregiving is not easy and can be financially demanding. And so this bill would provide a new annual non-refundable federal tax credit up to $5,000 to eligible family members. And that's going to help to address your financial challenges of caregiving for an older parent, a spouse, or other loved ones while remaining in the workforce.
Yeah, I have enough issues already. I need some help.
Yes. And especially if you're still working, because now you're juggling the responsibilities of work and caregiving, and maybe you're having to take time off of work to care for your loved one. who's going to help make ends meet. And so this bill would do that. Another one is the Lowering Costs for Caregivers Act. And this allows for your HSAs, FSAs, those flexible spending accounts. They will allow you to use them for qualified medical expenses for a parent or a spouse's parent. And so usually it only works for you or your spouse or your children, your dependents. But this bill would allow you to now use your flexible spending account for your parents or your husband or wife's parents. And so we're very fortunate in that we have 3 members of Congress here in Florida who are supporting that: Buchanan, Bean, and Bilirakis. All the Bs, 2 of them right here in the Tampa Bay area. The third one, Alleviating Barriers for Caregivers Act. That's going to require federal agencies to reduce all that red tape and all those barriers to improve customer service for family caregivers who help their loved ones enroll in or benefit from Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security. Oftentimes, if you want to enroll in any of those or make any changes, you have to do it yourself. And so this bill is going to make it a little bit easier for your caregivers, your loved ones, to step in and help you to do that.
Because you know what happens? Sometimes it gets too hard and then they just don't do it.
Yeah, I mean, navigating the healthcare system alone is frightening for someone who has all their cognitive abilities about them. But if you're struggling,
right now you have an 85-year-old woman taking care of a 90-year-old man. Please help me.
Yes, exactly. So this bill would benefit caregivers here in Florida and across the country in a huge way. The fourth one, Connecting Caregivers to Medicare Act. This requires CMS, the Center for Medicare Services, to publicize the voluntary option for 1-800-MEDICARE to share a Medicare beneficiary's health information with family caregivers. So again, breaking down those barriers so that your caregivers, your loved ones can help you along this journey, navigating Medicare. And I also want to give a shout out to those wonderful Shine volunteers who are helping people to navigate Medicare and decide.
So explain to them what Shine is.
So Shine is operated out of the Area Agency on Aging. They are vigorously trained and certified in all things Medicare because especially here in the Tampa Bay area, we have tons of choice. Plans, so many choices. And so how do we know what's best for us? These Shine volunteers, and Shine stands for Serving Health Insurance Needs of the Elderly. And these volunteers will sit down with you free of charge and
they know if something changed from last year to this year that you might not know about.
They're going to take into consideration who are your doctors, who are your specialists, what prescription drugs are you taking. Yeah. They're going to take all of this information and they're not going to tell you exactly what plan to purchase, but what they're going to do is they're going to narrow down your choices to make it so much simpler for you to find a plan that works best for you.
Yeah, because if I have diabetes, there are certain plans that are much better for me than another one is, and I don't know that. How do I know that?
Yep. That's right.
Yeah, that's absolutely fabulous. So let's talk about some of the community service you guys do and some of the educational events. Let's talk about those. And how do people find out about them?
So AARP does have a speakers bureau. We have wonderful volunteers who are giving presentations. We have what we call DIY, do-it-yourself kits, ready-made presentation kits and leave behind print materials that our volunteers are giving presentations to groups in the public, whether it's your church group, a women's group, a caregiving support group. If you're looking for someone to come in and give a presentation, we have 2 presentations. One of them is on preparing to care. So that may be for people who maybe are not caregivers now, but they see that in the future. For instance, I'm an only child. My husband's an only child. Caregiving is on the horizon without a doubt. And so thinking about it and preparing for it ahead of time is going to help tremendously because you don't want to wait until you're in crisis mode to start preparing and know what resources are available to you. That second presentation is about the financial part of caregiving. So it's called Making Sense, CENTS, of caregiving. And it really helps to spell out some of the things you need to prepare for and think about in terms of the financial obligations of caregiving.
Yeah, take advantage of whatever seminars are out there, whether it's AARP, whether Attorney Sean Scott and I are doing on September 18th, the flip side of the coin, the financial side and the emotional side. Get out there, get this information. This information is being offered to you for free. Mm-hmm. And you'll meet other people there that are in the same boat as you, that are going through, and you'll find out about resources that you had no idea were available.
two other presentations I want to mention. Arlene Grosso, who I think has been a
Yes.
guest on the show. She's one of our AARP ambassadors, and she gives a home fit presentation. So thinking about all the things in your home as you grow older, or if maybe you're moving in a loved one who you're caring for, is that a safe, comfortable space for them to live independently and safely? And so there are room by room checklists of things you should think about in terms of lighting,
Yeah, I took that
rugs,
program. Yeah.
railings, a number of things that maybe you didn't think about, because if you're able-bodied, you take for granted.
Exactly.
But the minute you come home and you have a boot on your leg,
And you
or
can't
you're in
bend over,
a
or you can't
wheelchair,
reach
or
up
walker,
high, or
Right, exactly. So the home fit presentation shares that. We also have a presentation now on downsizing and decluttering. So many of us are now, packing up the stuff, moving, downsizing into maybe a smaller place to live, and going through 20, 30, 40 years worth of stuff. And what do we do with that stuff? And how do we let go of that stuff? What do we keep?
give it
What do
away
we
while
get
you're
rid
still
of?
alive.
Exactly.
Because nobody wants it when you're dead.
Yeah, why didn't anybody tell us that?
I don't know.
I'm here to tell you that.
Yeah, but I've already passed the telling stage. Nobody wants my Hummels.
Yeah, that's what I say. Every time I have a support group and the wife dies, the husband calls me and he goes, "Do you like Hummels, Linda?" I'm like, no. But nobody wants your stuff. And if they want your stuff, give it to them now.
Right.
While you're alive. You can see it, appreciate it. You can go to their house and see the picture hung on the wall or whatever it is.
Exactly.
Because
they don't want any of my stuff.
I'll take your stuff. You have some good stuff.
I know who will be at your door.
But really think about that, because first of all, things being too cluttered is looking for a fall. You're looking for a fall. And the fall can be the end. Believe me, the fall can be the end. So you want to take a picture, you want to take appreciation for this and get rid of some of the stuff you can. And right now I'm having my bathroom remodeled. Taking the tub out so I can just walk in, having a really tall toilet because I'm a tall girl, having my grab bars put in there because I don't want to fall. And I want my house. I'm okay right now, but I want to be able to stay in my house. I want to be able to stay in my house and take care of myself. So we have to pay attention to this, because this is what happens. You fall and then you're in rehab and you can't even go home because you can't get in your house. You can't fit through the door, or it's just too difficult. Don't be a wise guy.
I told you to leave those potato chips alone.
Those sweet potato fries.
But really, everything in life is about being prepared. If you're going to have a baby, you're prepared, right? You have 9 months to prepare. Well,
that's why the Boy Scout motto.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Be prepared.
But you have time to prepare now, way before that emergency happens. Fixing your house, getting an education, getting your papers in order. It's all very important, because it's all there in your head being worried about, even if you're not saying it out loud.
Yeah, we don't have a crystal ball. We don't know when something is going to happen. And if you're prepared, it makes that crisis time a little bit easier to deal with.
And I think you make better decisions because you're better informed. Exactly. You know how many times the mom dies and they get her a Cadillac casket, and she would be like appalled that they spent that money on that. Maybe she wanted to be cremated, but nobody had that conversation. So let's do that. It's really important. So Michelle, where can our listeners find you?
They can find us anywhere around the Tampa Bay area. Now, I'm one person, and I cover Pinellas, Hillsborough, Pasco, Hernando counties, but I have counterparts, staff members who cover other parts of the state, but I work with wonderful volunteers who are educators, they are advocates, they are hosting fun, unique events where we're engaging people both in person and virtually, sharing great information, but more importantly, getting you out of your house and connecting with one another, connecting with your neighbors, learning something new.
In a comfortable situation.
Exactly. A safe, comfortable environment. And then we are also we have just launched our voter education and engagement campaign, and it focuses on making sure that we're protecting and strengthening Social Security not only for current retirees, but future generations, but also caregivers. So family caregiving is one of our top priorities at the federal level. And so part of our voter education campaign, we are asking our advocacy volunteers to meet with candidates and elected officials to make sure that as the campaign trail blazes on, that they're talking about these two very important issues, Social Security and supporting caregivers.
Yeah, because like I said, we're living so much longer and we need to do this. And you know what I always say, your caregiving experience can be the most horrific experience of your life or close to beautiful, depending on how you handle it. And the biggest thing is an education. But right now it's time to hear from our wonderful partners, so don't go away. We'll be right back on Connecting Caregivers Radio.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Choosing the right chiropractor is an important choice to make. Located in Seminole, the Alexander Spine Center team is trained on the latest chiropractic treatments and technologies. At Alexander Spine Center, you'll find chiropractic and physical therapy care that is safe, effective, and a natural approach to pain and other health-related issues. Chiropractic unlocks your body's potential and natural healing process to ensure your life is a healthy life. We treat clients from the womb to the tomb. Call 727-397-3000 for a free consultation today, or visit our website at www.alexanderspinecenter.com.
They take good care of me twice a week, so check them out.
Arden Courts is not just a place to live. It's a place to call home. Residential living combined with quality caregiving. This is the philosophy behind Arden Courts. Communities created exclusively for individuals with Alzheimer's disease and related dementia who would benefit from a safe and structured environment. For additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides, call 888-478-2410 to locate a community nearest you. Inquire about our educational seminars, resource library, or support groups, or simply feel free to ask questions you may have about Alzheimer's and related dementias. At Arden Courts, we know, we understand, and we can help because memory care is all we do. Remember, call 888-478-2410 for additional information about any of the unique services Arden Courts provides.
We believe the power of the human body and mind can do amazing things, and that tapping into that power, not just tricking it with a temporary disguise, is possible. Superpatch technology uses a special pattern and vibrotactile technology to help you go from feeling blah to hurrah. Now, once the Superpatch is in contact with your skin, it triggers a neutral response in the brainstem that helps you tackle your daily problems head on. Whether you're struggling with pain, balance, stress, or focus, we have a solution that might be right for you. With Superpatch's 30-day money-back guarantee, you have nothing to lose and everything to gain.
Hi, this is Linda Burhans, the gal who cares for the caregivers. I started using the Liberty Patch over 3 years ago. I used to be a tripper, but since wearing a Liberty Patch, I haven't tripped once. The Liberty Patch is proven to reduce the risk of falling by up to 8 times. And as we all know, if you prevent the fall, you prevent the call. Don't wait until it's too late. Preventative solutions are the answer.
Superpatch does not claim to diagnose, treat, or cure illness. Superpatch is FDA registered. To receive 25% off your first order, go to sticktoit.info. That's sticktoit.info and learn more.
This is the Tan Talk Radio Network.
Nicholas cannot sit still. Nicholas cannot sit still. It's just who Nicholas is. Even if I take him to the theater, to the movies, it's like after a half hour, he's on the arm of the chair or wanting to sit in another seat. And I was taking him to see a motivational speaker about happiness. I thought it would be very good for him, but I'm thinking if he's going to be like jumping around. So we put a focus patch on him. And he was fabulous. He said, I feel chill, Grandma. He said 2 hours he sat through the presentation.
How old is he?
9.
All right.
I was like, yeah. So I said, when you start school, if you think you want this focus patch on certain days, or you're taking a test, or you just need to, like, because I have some friends of mine that their kids are off their ADHD medicine because they're using the patches, and why not? But we have a lot of events coming up here. So there's a new memory cafe. I love memory cafes. A memory cafe is when the caregiver can come with their loved one. And sometimes they do things together. Sometimes they go in 2 different rooms. But this is a brand new one. And it's at Sunny Harbor Adult Daycare Center in Palm Harbor. And it'll be meeting the first and third Thursday at 3:30. The RSVP number is 727-754-1100. All this information will be on my website, facilitated by Maureen Willison, who really knows what it's all about. So look into that. Also, there's a couple of days left, just 2 days left, before the ponytail challenge. So if you have long hair and you want to get a haircut, all the hair goes to kids with cancer and other medical conditions who have lost their hair. Your hair has to be 10 inches. 10 inches. But that's such a wonderful thing, and it's such a great thing, especially if you have a child that just wants to.
I don't know if they want my gray colored hair.
But it's a lot of children donate it, and they donate to children. And I think that really teaches your children about what's going on and everything. Also, we have the Savvy Caregiver program through the Area Agency on Aging, which is absolutely fabulous. It's a 6-week course. It's one time a week for 2 hours. The courses run and run and run and run. So if you want information about that, it's 727-570-9696, extension 160, and that's also on my website. And one more thing I want to bring up is make sure you have smoke alarms in your house, please. Make sure you have grab bars in your house, please. If you do not have them or you cannot afford them, there are places where you can get them free of charge, where the fire department will come in and put grab bars in your bathroom or get you a new smoke detector. Be sure that you change your smoke detectors, not just your batteries, which they tell you to do once a year, but they expire after 10 years. I never realized that until somebody told me. I thought as long as you kept putting the batteries in them, but they say no, they expire in 10 years. Isn't that a good thing to know?
Interesting.
So if you need any of that information, you'll find it on my website. Thank you so much for being here today. You know how much I appreciate you caregivers, and I appreciate any time that you spend with us. If there's anything you need, you know my number, 727-365-8383. If I don't have the answer, I know someone that does. Remember, God loves you all the time, and have a delicious day.